This broadcast is brought to you by All I Need to Know About Success, I Learned from Star Trek by author Glenn Henderson. To get your copy, go to glenntrekbook.com. Here at San Diego Comic-Con 2024, first day. Joined here with Ronald D. Moore. How you doing there, Ronald?
Great. How are you?
Doing awesome. You've got a panel here this weekend, and you're here representing For All Mankind. A lot of great stuff in that series. What is that series for people that may not know about that? What is like the background of that, like the whole setup?
Well, the concept of For All Mankind is sort of an alternate history of the space program. So the premise in the very first episode is what would have happened if the Soviet Union had landed on the moon before the United States. And that becomes like a pivot point in history. The Americans go all in on the space race, and before you know it, we have moon bases and hotels in space. And another defining characteristic of the show is that every season jumps ahead 10 years. So, we started in the 60s and the 70s, and then the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. And so you're watching generations grow up, you're seeing children grow into adults, other cast members are aging out. It's a very unique structure, and it's sort of painting a picture of a world that could have been. And it's a better place, and it's like, technology has advanced at a more rapid pace, and you've seen social progress, and it's a really interesting and idealistic television show.
It's a super cool series. I've seen all these seasons. Absolutely amazing. I love Ed Baldwin. He's just the best. And they're all good. But the series, the next series, does it take to another place 10 years down the road as well? And if so, what is I know the asteroid was at the end, spoiler. What's that kind of, and there's a spin-off series, I believe, as well, right?
Yeah, the next season, this fifth season, it jumps ahead roughly a decade. We always kind of save what the actual year is for the broadcast. So you'll see, the asteroid is now being mined in Mars orbit. You're going to see how the Martian base is expanded and what the rest of the combined sort of global space programs are now doing. There's also a spin-off series called Star City, which that idea is to now tell virtually the same story, but from the Russian and Soviet point of view. So what was involved when the Soviets decided to put the first man on the moon? How did they do that, And that was such a different program than ours. It operated in different ways. It's more of a Cold War spy thriller in a lot of sense. The KGB is very much involved. There's a lot of political stuff. It's a fascinating show, and it's very different because especially as Americans, we don't know a lot about that particular space program, but a lot of things they did were remarkable.
Very for true. Last question, wrapping up, they've got a lot of stuff going on in space. You got the Artemis program going back to the moon, all that jazz. What does space mean to you, and what would you like to see over the next maybe 10 or 20 years?
I think it's, I grew up with the American space program as a child, and then, of course, I fell in love with Star Trek and science fiction. So to me, space sort of represents the big ocean that I've always wanted to cross and always wanted to see what's over the horizon. It sort of speaks to the romance and the adventurism in the human heart. And the next 10 to 20 years, I hope I can buy a ticket.
Awesome. That's the best thing. I could never explain that better myself. So on SciFiction.com, signing off. Thank you so much, Ronald.